Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and more Blood and Plunder here as we work our way through some of the other commanders that we didn't get in the first go around of our series here. Just a couple things we missed here and there for different factions. So today we're going to round out the last of the generics for the Spanish, and with that we have the Tercio commanders here. So good stuff overall. We have our typical choices here between untested, experienced, and seasoned with the corresponding points. And again, it just really depends largely on partially what point size of a game are we playing, but then also really what are our needs for the force that we're fielding, and potentially knowing like what our opponent has and what they'll be fielding. So with that, we have the untested, right, is going to be great because no points cost. We still get some rules and some decent abilities here, but it's definitely for the smaller games, but also in some cases maybe we just want to just have a commander out there, right? But save those points for maybe like more bodies essentially in the force, right? Sometimes an extra unit or two depending on which route we go with. So all the way across the board here, these guys are obviously for the Tercio's force, or Tercios, but we get a pistol or matchlock musket and a standard melee weapon kind of as the weapon choices across the board. Now for these guys we're actually getting an 8-inch command range, which is pretty solid considering the 0 points cost and that 1 command point, and they just come with Ruthless, which is a great ability, right? So when we're shooting at or fighting a unit that has more fatigue than us, gives us that bonus, which we'll take every time. So really good stuff to have, and again, for no points, that'll do just fine. Now, if we step up to the mid-level, and one thing we should mention here, because this is really mainly geared for a land force, right? Any of the commanders can pay a single point to get a horse, so we could have a 1-point commander, 16 or 26 points there. But middle of the road, right, for those medium-sized games, potentially even the larger ones, if we just want to save a little bit and don't want to spend that extra 10 on the seasoned commander. Here we're getting an extra 4 inches of command range. 12 is very respectable. Good amount of the battlefield that'll cover for us, and the 2 command points. So gives us a little bit more room to work with, and we actually get another ability. So we're getting 3 things here. If we want to, I don't know if that's how it was intended when they made the points cost, right? But if we think about it, we're paying 15 points and we're getting 3 things, so 5 points per is a way to look at it. 4 inches of command range, 5 points. Another command point is 5 points, and then getting inspiring is worth another 5 points. Is maybe one way to think about it and break it down. So that's what you're getting for this. That second command point is also very important because with inspiring, right, we're going to keep our force in the fight longer and get those rerolls for rally. So always good stuff to have there. Really, just one of the good combination of special rules that we tend to see all the way across the board, and we've seen that so often in the series that we've done now. So really good stuff there. Now if we want to step up to the big leagues, 25 points, again, really reserved for the medium to large games, right? We're not going to spend 25 points in a tiny game. Bit overkill, but for a generic commander, we're actually getting a 16-inch command range, which sometimes, we only see that in certain sort of upper level named characters. So to get this in a generic commander is pretty damn impressive. So that's a huge bubble of space that you can spread your command range to on the board. So 2 command points. Keeping that, again, 3 is really the realm of the named characters, though. But we're keeping Ruthless and Inspiring, so we've talked about that. But then we got High Standing and Swordsman. So again, we're getting 4 abilities on a generic commander. Now, High Standing, we've seen that a little bit, but we haven't really seen Swordsman much, so we do need to talk about that. So for high standing, that can be a bit of a downer sometimes, but basically a unit that you join will lose elusive, quick, scout, or hidden. So just keep that in mind when you're deploying and where you're putting your commander. So just a thing to factor in. But Swordsman is a cool one, and again, we haven't seen that one much, but really nice in the sense that we're actually getting to impose a penalty on an opposing unit. We don't see that necessarily too much. It's usually buffs for our own units. So basically, anyone who's trying to take a fight action against your unit, and also, again, important to keep the commander alive as long as possible to keep this active, right? But they get a -1 penalty, or in this case, +1 penalty with the way that the things work out for the game. But essentially, think of it as they need an extra 1 to hit you. So it makes you harder to hit in combat, which is pretty cool. But again, we gotta make sure that we pick and choose smart opportunities, smart potential engagements, and if we're going to be attacked by an opposing unit, ideally they're not going to be like a full strength unit that gets to us, right? We definitely want to avoid equal engagements. We want everything to be as unfair as possible for the opponent, but in the right circumstances, that is just a good one, right? So all in all, for 25 points and yeah, there's nothing else to say there. It's fantastic value there for that commander. So all the way across the board, the Tercios are pretty dang good. Let us know, guys, based on what typical points ranges you play, what when you make the decision to go from untested to experienced to seasoned. So hit us up in the comments there. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll have more Blood and Plunder for you very soon. Thank you for watching.